people are, planning to drive us away, and which is very, very sad.
Students all across the country, including right here in Spokane, are reacting to a new immigration policy announced on Monday. It states that international students who are currently enrolled in online-only programs will need to leave the country immediately or transfer to a school with in-person classes if they want to legally continue their education. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Whitney Ward alongside my colleague Mark Hanrahan in the KREM 2 studios tonight. Hi, Mark.
Good evening to you, Whitney. Harvard and MIT now suing to stop ICE from enforcing that policy, and today Washington Attorney General Bob Ferguson also announced that he plans to file suit to stop that policy from taking effect. In the meantime, international students are stuck in limbo. I spoke with Yano Chipengo today, originally from Zambia, who is a graduate student at Gonzaga. He is an ordained priest and pursuing his master's degree in philosophy. I also spoke with an undergraduate international student at WSU, and while she's legally in the U.S. on a student visa, she asked that we not show her face or use her name out of fear following Monday's announcement. I asked both of them for their thoughts on the announcement.
Of course, that was shocking, and it has left me in a vulnerable situation. What next? Why should such a declaration be done, especially during a dire period of time like the COVID, when we are supposed to be looking for answers?
Every single day since Monday, I've been trying to make it make sense, but it's not clicking to me. And it's just been a very stressful time, especially for students and family, and just moment of, a lot of stress and kind of what is going to happen, the anxiety for the future.
At the moment, they tell me they both feel relatively secure because they are anticipating their universities will hold a mix of in-person and online classes this fall. But they do worry that if the pandemic worsens, classes will be held entirely online and then their visas will be revoked. As for their universities, Gonzaga President Thane McCullough took to Twitter to blast the new immigration policy, calling it, quote, completely inappropriate and inhumane in light of the ongoing pandemic. We will continue to follow this story and update you with any changes. All right, let's talk about the weather. We finally made it to Friday, and it looks like it's going to be a beautiful weekend. Let's get straight to Chief Meteorologist Tom Sherry. Tom, is this going to be the first 90-degree weather of the summer?
Yeah, I think it is going to be. We got a shot at hitting 90 degrees here in the Spokane area. We're certainly going to see 90s in central Washington and into the lower Columbia Basin. What a fabulous early evening we've got right now going on in the Spokane area. When you look at the satellite and radar picture, not showing you any cloud cover, any precipitation anywhere across the region. Pretty comfortable too, right? 76 degrees. As you can see, the winds are calm. So, we're really just enjoying a beautiful, beautiful evening. We'll look for an overnight low of 55. There's the 90 that I talked about. Maybe we get to tomorrow. This time yesterday, I thought we'd get up to about 88, but computer models today indicate maybe 90 degrees, especially in downtown Spokane. Enjoy it if you like the heat, that is, and if you don't like the heat, it's not going to last very long because we have a cool front moving through on Sunday. We drop all the way from 90 degrees down to 77. It will become windy on Sunday. You look for a few increasing clouds, a chance of mountain showers, especially along the Canadian border. I'll have the rest of your 10-day forecast coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Tom, thank you very much. We have new video tonight of the wreckage being pulled up from Lake Coeur d'Alene after Sunday's mid-air crash. The barge that you see, that has now left the scene this evening. Crews say they expect to finish removing both planes over the weekend. Now this weekend, that means the Lofts Bay boat launch will be closed as that work continues, which is right there on the western edge of the lake. Boaters are also being asked just to avoid that entire area east of Black Rock Bay. The Kootenai County Sheriff's Office announced yesterday that they have recovered all 8 of the victims from the crash, as well as the fuselage from that wrecked Cessna. And authorities still working right now to hoist all that wreckage up from the lake floor. The collision happened between that Cessna and a seaplane. Both planes sank about 100 yards apart, not far from Powderhorn Bay in about 125 feet of water. And just a short time ago this evening, Neil Lunt's family released a statement online. He was the pilot on the seaplane that went down. They wrote, "Our family lost a great man. A father, a husband, an all-around family man, and a friend to everyone he came into contact with. We will miss him greatly." The community response of positive comments and experiences with Neil has been overwhelming and heartwarming. Another big story that we are tracking this evening, the rate of infection of coronavirus in Kootenai County now surpassing infections in Spokane County. Also, the testing site at Kootenai Health, they're still seeing incredibly long lines. It was just a few weeks ago that we told you some people were waiting in line up to 4 hours to try and get one of those tests. So our Tim Pham went out there today to see if any of that has improved.
You often hear people say the number of cases are increasing because we're testing more, but it's really more than that, especially when you look at the numbers. In the last couple of weeks, we've seen the average number of new cases quadruple in just the last 14 days.
You might recognize his name.
The nurses and the ladies that were at my doctor's office call me Dave Smith Motors.
The irony is, this Dave Smith doesn't own a motorized vehicle. Instead, he opts for something simpler.
I can get around town just as fast on my bike as I could in a car.
And it didn't take him long either to zip on down to Kootenai Health. The line to get tested for COVID-19, though, wasn't such a breeze.
The nurse I talked to a while ago today, she said, we only had to wait 20 minutes. Not today, huh?
Kootenai Health is still seeing a huge surge in testing in the county. As the only testing site, they're averaging about 300 to 400 tests a day.
They're trying to shove that thing up to my brain, you know.
The Panhandle Health District reported 97 new coronavirus cases on Thursday alone. That's the highest single-day spike in cases since the pandemic began. The health district says the increase will significantly increase COVID-19 illness in our community and resulting increased demands on healthcare, as well as having a negative impact on business activity, personal interactions, and related activities. A look down Sherman Avenue, you'll see a bustling street filled with people eating outdoors and visiting shops, and many are not wearing masks. As of right now, local leaders are not considering mandatory measures to slow the spread of the disease, such as requiring masks.
You know, it's an individual opinion that people have or decisions that they have in wanting to do this, but I think it's better safe than sorry.
Though it's not a requirement, Milton and Janelle Lang chose to wear one anyway.
I think the idea too, as everyone says, not only you're protecting yourself, but you're protecting others. So we think it's important.
While masks are required in Washington, they're not in Idaho, although recently the mayor of Moscow required face coverings in public, but that's not the case here. Reporting in Coeur d'Alene, I'm Tim Pham, KREM 2 News.
And new at 6, the Pac-12 Conference has officially announced a conference-only schedule for this fall. Washington State and UW, both members of the Pac-12, and this move means that schools in the conference will only be allowed to play other schools in the Pac-12 in fall sports this year. And of course, we're continuing to try and answer your questions about what school is going to look like in the fall. We know that students are going to be seeing a lot of changes, and the same goes for student athletes in high school. Our Regina On has been tracking many of those differences. She's joining us now live with details. Regina?
Hey there, Whitney. Yeah, the Washington Interscholastic Activities Association announced this week that fall sports would be delayed until the beginning of September. In conjunction to that, Spokane Public Schools released a list of what sports are considered at risk. They broke it down into 3 groups: low, medium, and high. Starting with low-risk sports, SPS defines that as sports that can be done with physical distancing or individually without having to share equipment or equipment that can easily be cleaned. They list that as cross-country, archery, individual running events, throwing events like discus, golf, and performance and non-competitive dance. Next up, moderate risk sports. Those are defined as sports that involve close, sustained contact but with protective equipment that may reduce the likelihood of transmission and equipment that can't be cleaned between participants. So that includes basketball, volleyball, baseball, softball, soccer, gymnastics, tennis, and pole vault. SBS does include a footnote that says some of these sports could be considered lower risk. That's only if they wear masks and appropriate cleaning is done. And finally, high-risk sports. Those are defined as sports that involve close, sustained contact between participants with lack of significant protective barriers in between. That includes wrestling, football, performance dance, and competitive cheer that involves stunting. As of now, the WIA says football practice would start on September 5th, with all other sports starting practice on September 7th. The board of directors saying they're planning on making another decision on July 22nd. And for more information on these risk factors, you can text schools to 509-448-2000 and we'll send you a link to your phone with all of that information. Live here in the newsroom, Regina on. Mark, back to you.
Regina, thank you very much. Still ahead, local artists painting a powerful message. How the mural is just one small part of a larger movement. And was it a glitch or was it banned? Many users saw changes to TikTok this week. Here's what our Verify team found out.
Did popular social app TikTok get banned and shut down this week? That's the question after many users found the app wasn't working. The answer, though, is no. Some politicians did talk about banning the popular app over security concerns, but the issues were temporary. TikTok said the system is working again after, quote, app issues, not a ban.